How is everything going, YouTube? And welcome back to the MC Parks Minecraft one-to-one recreation of Walt Disney World. Today, it is the Diamond Lion, and we are back today, and we are taking a look at Astro Orbiter, but that is not the main focus of today's video. If you listen to this music, if you've heard of this music before, you've probably been on this attraction, and you know where we're heading today. And that is a very important attraction here in Tomorrowland. It's an indoor, high-speed roller coaster, and that is Space Mountain. Space Mountain is a nostalgia journey for some, a thrilling journey for others, and for people like myself, we just love the history of this attraction. Now, for starters, let's just take a look at Space Mountain. You look at this structure right off the bat. Space Mountain is a behemoth of an architectural masterpiece. This attraction is quite the looker. This is a really beautiful looking attraction. You look at just the building itself, how massive that building is. We don't see things like that in the normal world, in your everyday life. And this is really one of those things that is iconic for not only Walt Disney World and the Magic Kingdom, but for Disney just as a brand. Like, when you think of Disney and the Disney parks, you think of obviously Cinderella's Castle, Sleeping Beauty Castle, and right up there is Space Mountain. So we're going to take a dive into Space Mountain today, the history, the origins, and kind of what we maybe think the future is for this attraction. So this attraction is an outdoor space themed indoor roller coaster, an outer space themed roller coaster. This attraction opened January 15th of 1975. So this is an old attraction. It's not an opening day attraction, but it is quite a long time that this attraction has been around. This is the original version of this iconic attraction, and a lot of other places in terms of Disney parks have recreated this attraction in different ways. Disneyland has a version that's very similar. We'll get to the differences later. You've also got Shanghai, who also has their own version of this attraction. Space Mountain is also one of the first computer-operated roller coasters, and this is also the oldest operating roller coaster in the state of Florida. So, some interesting little facts there. Now, the difference, you may be asking, the Diamond Line, what is the difference between Space Mountain in Disneyland and Space Mountain in Walt Disney World? And the biggest difference that you could really think right off bat, and this is kind of funny because there's a lot of, and this is the alpha side and the omega side is that way. There's a lot of interesting kind of history with this, in the sense that in the Disney promotional videos, it's kind of a joke now, but Disney used to put, for the Walt Disney World promotional video, the way that the cart is structured in Disneyland, it is one person in the seat. So you have, I guess, how's the best way to describe this? It's like this, right? You can only fit one person. Actually, no. I believe it's a two-seater in Disneyland. And this one in Walt Disney World is only a one-person. Only one person can go in each car. Or in each, like, you can only have one person sitting here. You can't have two people sitting next to each other. But you can in Disneyland. And I remember for the Disney promotional videos, they would have the back, like the people sitting next to each other. But it's like, wait, that's not the Disney World Space Mountain. They don't do that. So some of the people that have a really keen eye and really understand the parks understand that's not actually true. And this was obviously an attraction that just hit its 50-year anniversary here in 2025. So Space Mountain, I kind of wish they did more for it. They really didn't do much for it. It was, one of those things that really wasn't a kind of just, it's 50 years and that's it. They really didn't do much merchandise, did a little ceremony, posted a little thing online, and that was about it. This attraction in 1975 ended up costing a whopping $20 million. So you consider that compared to, what basketball players get paid each year. $20 million is a couple months of a contract for some of those guys. So it's very interesting to see how the price, $20 million looking today, actually is probably a bargain considering how much money Disney has probably made off of this attraction over its 50-year lifespan. This is a steel attraction, and it's a dual track attraction. Like I said, you have the Alpha side and the Omega side. So you have two separate sides to this attraction. Wed Enterprises, they were the designers of this attraction. That's Imagineering. And this attraction is kind of interesting because you look at the Alpha and the Omega side, there's a lot of similarities, but there are actually slight differences. So the Alpha and the Omega side, the height is 65 feet. The drop is 26 feet. They're both the same. Technically, the Alpha track is exactly 10 feet longer. It is 3,196 feet long, while the Omega side is 3,186. So it's 10 feet shorter. Not sure the reason for that. Maybe because of the way it kind of comes into the queue here. That's just the way it kind of worked. But technically, the Alpha side of the attraction is technically 10 feet longer of track. So kind of an interesting fact. Couple other things. The G-force can hit up to 3.7. There's 30 trains on this attraction, and a total of 6 riders per train. This attraction has also had a couple of interesting sponsorships throughout its time. So RCA was the original sponsor of this attraction from opening day in 1975 up until 1993. And then from 1994 up until 2004, a 10-year period, FedEx had, especially in this exit area, FedEx had a lot of input on this they had a lot of influence on this part of the attraction. And then from 2005 till today, 20 years after, Space Mountain has not had a sponsor for 20 plus years. So that is obviously, Disney is in a different direction now. There are very few attractions left, like Test Track, that actually have sponsorship. But this attraction no longer has a sponsor. And each of these attractions, they each have 13 trains per track, which is kind of interesting. And obviously here you can see this is kind of turned into more of a Tron themed shop, but there is still a decent amount of Space Mountain theming. This used to be the exit. Actually, I believe it is. It still is. I guess it is still the exit to Space Mountain. You can actually come through this little shop. And this area, obviously, this is the main point of Tomorrowland. Like the way you're kind of supposed to see it, you come in over the boat or on the monorail, you see the giant white spaceship looking building, right? That is Space Mountain. You come into the park, you see Astro Orbiter, right? When you first come in from the hub, you come in here, and then what's the next big thing you notice, right? It's a little harder to see in Minecraft because of render distance, but it's Space Mountain, right? And it instantly gravitates you toward the back section of Tomorrowland. And that's all done on purpose. Disney did all of that on purpose to kind of, lure you to the back of the park. You got to go through all this stuff, all these shops, all this merchandise, all these food products to get to the attraction. That was definitely strategic by Disney. And now the game has definitely changed in this area, because not only do we have the world-class Space Mountain attraction, but in the mid-2020s, we now have Tron. So Tron Light Cycle Run is the newest roller coaster in this area, and it continues the similar theme here in Tomorrowland, but definitely in a different way. But I think including myself, I think a lot of people prefer Space Mountain over Tron, as crazy as that sounds. I think once you've done Tron once or twice, it's a great attraction, but I think Space Mountain, because of the nostalgia and the message behind it, and the just you could feel the optimism in future technology, future transportation technology from Space Mountain. The spirit of the attraction is much stronger for Space Mountain than kind of to just whip you around. You're sitting on a motorbike for Tron. It's just a different type of attraction. So, happy birthday, Space Mountain. Congratulations on turning 50 years old. And we love you. This is an attraction that is beloved by many, including myself. They also have some interesting things for holiday overlays. For Halloween, they just shut off the lights. There's no lights in Space Mountain. And then for Christmas, they actually put up like a Christmas lighting package with like green and red lights and snowflakes and things like that. So that's kind of cool. It's definitely something different. And it makes it unique for different times of the year. And the music we're listening to right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the person is Mike Brazel, and it's called Mount Bop. If you want to look it up on YouTube. But if you look up on YouTube, you look up, Space Mountain music area loop, you'll also find the music from that as well. But that is going to do it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tour and history of Space Mountain. This is an incredible attraction. Like I said, for so many different reasons. I could go on and on about how much I love Space Mountain. But I think we're going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys again next time.